Hello and welcome to post-match reaction to the Hurricanes versus the Rebels. We had another win for the New Zealand teams, with the Canes winning this one 35-13. I went Canes by 20, and in the end it was by 22, so pretty close on that one. Look, early on in the first the first phase of play was 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So both sides keeping the ball in, to rely on the kick chase, etc. Particularly the Hurricanes, they were kicked too. They're exiting, deciding not to go to touch, which was an interesting one there. Obviously looking at to tire this Rebels team out, I think, and then looking at getting those points later on. And that's really what we kind of saw here. Look, the Canes dominated that first half territory-wise, just spent it pretty much entirely in the Rebels half, in particular 22. They had 64% of that territory, really pinning them back, but initially not really getting anywhere. Their line-out really was not functioning. Sure, it says they won 16 out of 17 line-outs, and it suggests that the Rebels only lost one line out, two at 13 out of 14, but boy, it was scrappy and messy, and the maul wasn't working really there. Both lineouts, I think, were definitely not as good as the stats would suggest, if you're looking at just purely whether they got the ball or not. And it really took a yellow card for the Hurricanes to be able to break down this Rebels team. Now, Rebels team, remember, that got beat 50-3 by the Blues last weekend, didn't score a try, and gave away a half century's worth of points. Better off this evening, but we saw Eloff getting yellow carded for collapsing the maul as it was heading towards the line. One of the few that actually worked, or that was working. Then it looked like Ardie Savea was back, bounced through somebody, very nearly went in the corner, but got tackled, and a strong last tackle taking him out. So didn't quite get there in the end. And then basically the Rebels, the first kind of, since that opening period, the first time they get some ball, get some territory, they're playing. Julian Savea comes out the line, intercepts, and under the post he goes for his 54th try. And that must have been a real heartbreaker for the Rebels. A man down, they're holding out. They've held out all the Canes assaults, and then finally get some ball. Finally start to go through their phases, and they just see Julian Savea pick it off, and off he goes. Now, to me, in those early pieces, Gordon at 10 really did not look like he knew where he needed to be, or to boss other players around. We saw Tamua getting in his way once. We saw him floating around trying to figure out where he's going to stand out of a ruck. And to me, Gordon, he came into the game, but really initially didn't look comfortable, didn't know where he was supposed to be, and didn't have confidence to boss other players out the way either, which I think was a bit of a problem there. Whilst we had the Hurricanes kicking to the corner, the Rebels had no such compulsions after the restart. Their very first opportunity to take points, and they did so, taking the 3 there, which is something they've been doing all season, because this Rebels team doesn't really know how to score tries on the whole, which is whilst this defence by the Hurricanes made 98% of their tackles, just missed 3, made 129 and missed 3. So yes, made their tackles, but they did give up 2 tries. That was more about allocation of players than it was about the actual tackling. So yes, they've got Dane Coles at the end there saying that, look, that defence is all about attitude. It is to a certain degree. You've got to get up and make your tackles, but you've also got to read the opposition and get yourself in the right places. And that's where perhaps the Hurricanes didn't quite get it right for those 2 tries. Look, they only gave up 1 clean break. They made 11 clean breaks themselves. So you've got to say a much better performance by the Hurricanes defensively than last weekend against the Waratahs. And look, the Hurricanes are now 10 points from their first opening 2 games, 2 try bonus point wins, but they have played the 2 weakest Australian sides. So yes, it looks good for them, but they've got their easy games out the way, and most, if not all, of the New Zealand teams will get try bonus points against the Rebels and the Waratahs. Those two are really going to struggle in this one. We had Laumape cutting back and passing out the tackle with and some nice play there by the Canes. A bit again broken play where things haven't quite worked, and so Laumape doing things off the cuff, which led to a Proctor to score, and it was 14-3 at half time. Look, we had that great break by Wes Houston, who was just bouncing off players. I just need to check what his stats finished like at the end, because the number of so they've got him down as 9 broken tackles, or 9 defenders beaten. Sorry, which means he had 9 failed tackles against him, and it felt like he had nearly that in that one run. Laumape also a good game, 7 defenders beaten, so 7 times people tried to tackle him and couldn't get hold of him there as well. So those two both had really good games. Obviously, Julius Surveyor with his 2 tries. We'll get on to his second try in a moment. But the had Flanders kicking the ball forward and just bounced out. But yeah, Houston really having a great game. 72 metres off his 8 carries there with those 9 defenders beaten, a couple of offloads, and this is 1 clean break, but it was a big clean break. And yeah, to the fact that the Hurricanes really weren't taking advantage of their superiority in that first half and should have put more points on the board. They've actually been disappointed with a 14-3 lead at half time. Come the second half, and it was very different territory-wise. The Rebels actually had more of the possession territory in that second half. They went through the phases, keeping it narrow, attacking around the ruck, and then good hands by Kellaway, who's just back into the side, put the number 6 in the corner there. Matamua couldn't make the conversion though, and it was 14-8. Now, obviously, that's as good as it got in that one. Nocturnal Right says have the Rebels still have bad mistakes at times. Oh look, they have some missing 40 tackles in this game. The fact the Rebels were even anywhere near being competitive in this one, missing 14 tackles, missing 40 is amazing. Only 7% tackle success rate. The only reason that they didn't put up another or give up another 50 points was the Hurricanes team was not actually playing that well. They had their moments. We had that Laumape move out wide, which went to Houston, who couldn't quite reach the line. Now, look, he should have been pinged because he reached out, brings it back, rolls over. I mean, how many times are you going to play the ball? He wasn't, but luckily for the referee and for the Rebels, that they didn't. A different penalty was given anyway for holding on in the end. But we had another. If you think about this, we've had an interception try. We've had the about to have a turnover try from the Canes. This wasn't the Canes building scores, and when the Rebels' defence was set, it was difficult for the Canes to break it down, even though they were missing, only making 70% of their tackles. So that's not very good for you, really. Let's be honest. So we had that one, and the Laumape one again was from a bit of broken play as well in that first half. So the first 3 tries here from the Hurricanes, really from broken field play, not from them, as I say, really engineering and making points, which is it's a bit of a worry for them against this one. The Canes did drove over the ball. Proctor bounced off a couple of tackles, gave the ball to Severe, and he made it. Got 55 tries now, just one behind TG Perinara, and I've gone blank as to who the other one is. It's a legend. He's only one away from the record. Obviously, TJ coming back next year will push it out further. But good for Laumape. A bit of a joke in our rugby chat group was Laumape trying to get back into the All Blacks. Look, I'm not sure he's back there, but he is looking much better than he was. We then had Joe Powell speeding things up, taking a tap, getting to the breakdown quick, passing the ball, and really speeding up the play, which saw Magnay power over And I was a bit surprised when Powell got pulled straight after that, Joe Powell. So it's a surprising one by the coaches of the Rebels there. And as Nocturnal Rights just said in the live chat, the Rebels subbed players who are just starting to make an impact. And you got to wonder what's going on there. Again, Matt Tamua hitting the post. That means it's 21-13. So they were just 5 points behind. So 6 points behind. Now suddenly they're 8 points behind. Then they didn't get any closer than that. Finally, the line-out more kind of works. Got stopped. We had a cross-field kick to Houston, who touched down from Ledger. He tried a crossfield kick in the first half, didn't pull it off. Thankfully did in the second. Vinasai just got Corabetti and stopped him from scoring in the corner. As Nocturnal White says, Corabetti lost his mojo. Vinasai came on, and I'll be honest, it looked like he didn't know where he was supposed to be standing, defensively or attacking wise. When Lamapi made that break, Lamapi didn't even look in his direction. And he was kind of going, where should I run to support Lamapi? And Lamapi is looking totally the other way. Vinasai really, I'd say, just did not look to be in tune with the rest of his teammates in this one, getting caught out here of position quite a bit. Amua, though, powered over after a penalty tap and go to make it 35-13. Look, comfortable win for the Hurricanes, who weren't playing well. The Rebels still got a lot of work to do, let's be honest, to become competitive. You can't be missing 40 tackles in a game at this level. Also, the discipline in this game was atrocious. 14 penalties by the Hurricanes, 9 by the Rebels. Rebels might be too upset with 9, but 14, geez. Turnovers conceded 19 each. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, both sides could have done a lot better looking after the pill at the ruck, let's be honest, or in other situations, because 19 turnovers each is a lot of turnovers. Look, a fun pre-season game to watch, but not much more than that. Really, didn't really have the intensity of the real game. Hurricanes, perfect start to this Trans-Tasman, but they've had their 2 easiest games. It's going to be interesting to see how they go when they come up against the Brumbies or the Reds. Or the Force. I'm not sure if they play, especially the Force, if they're playing them away. I think the Hurricanes are going to slip up at some point in this one. Look, job done. Move on. Still a lot of improvements for them to make. Rebels, boy oh boy, they're in for a long old season. Okay, a long old tournament. Okay, it's only 5 weeks, but the question is, will they get any points at all? They currently don't look like getting a losing bonus point. Never mind a win. Simon Hughes, thanks for letting me know that the Hurricanes are playing at the Force in Napier. That's lucky for the Hurricanes, because if they were travelling over to Perth, I think they would be in a bit of trouble with that one. Up next is the Force in Perth up against the Highlanders. Now I've backed the Force to win this one by 3. I think I've got a good chance of getting that first win for the Australian side. It's about the only one I think we'll get this weekend, but that's what I've gone for. Looking forward to that one. You can join me on Twitter at Driving Maul on Twitter, and we'll be chatting about that game. If you want to have a chat about that game as it's going on, I won't be doing a post-match reaction show to that one though. I'll be at the Chiefs game tomorrow evening, so look out for post-match interviews on our Facebook page, New Zealand Sports Radio, from that one. Also, myself and Stephen will be at club rugby games tomorrow, so also be some club rugby post-match interviews as well, probably. So look out for those as well. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. with the morning sports briefing, and we'll be back on Sunday evening at 8 p.m. with the Super Rugby review show, and we'll see how that. We'll review all 5 of the games. Simon says, you're wrong, Paul. The Western Force is not an Australian team, it's a West Australian team. Well, yes, true. In some ways, yes, it's not part of the East Coast elite, is it? Let's be honest. So I'd say I'm back in the Force to beat the Highlanders. Looking forward to that game next. I think it'll be a lot closer, and there'll be a lot more in it, I think, than this game, which it just felt like a bit of a training run or a pre-season game. Let's be honest.